Hi guys! By now you know that tides are caused by the gravitational pull of the moon on the oceans. You are also aware that there are two high tides and two low tides every day. We're going to discuss two special types of tides that are based on the phases of the moon, and those are going to be spring tides and neap tides. The first one we're going to talk about is spring tide. And I don't want you to think about this as being related to the seasons. It is not, it doesn't have anything to do with Earth seasons. The spring tides spring up really big and really dramatic so that you have this huge change in when you get to the high tide and a huge change when you get to low tide. High tide is much, much more dramatic than low tide when you have spring tides. This is going to happen most commonly during a new moon and a full moon. And the reason for that is you see this blue line I've drawn. When the sun and the moon are both in a line together along with Earth, it creates just that extra little bit of gravity needed to make tides really dramatic. So anytime you see the new moon or the full moon and everybody's in a straight line, you're going to get more dramatic tides where you have where the tide springs up really big when you have high tide. The next one is the neap tide. Neap is really mellow. Neap tides have a small change in water level between high tide and low tide. It is, of course, noticeable, but it is much less dramatic than it is with the spring. And this is going to occur, and if you look at the arrow that I've just put on your screen, you've got the sun and the earth in a straight line, but that quarter moon is at a 90-degree angle. And so anytime they are at an angle like this, you've got the gravity of the moon pulling this way, the gravity of the sun pulling this way, and so that water is getting pulled in both directions, and you're not going to have the big dramatic change in tide like you do for spring tides. This is going to occur during the first quarter moon and the third quarter moon. Now you should have a notes page available to you. You're going to fill in this worksheet, and it is going to be the notes page that you're going to use to help you with future assignments and things like that. First of all, I want you to write out to the side, spring tides are new moon and full moon. Spring tides are new moon and full moon. I'll give you a second to write that on your paper.
Hey guys. Many of you are showing me you were done and you were logged into the
Now
account,
in the drawing, you notice that I've got the sun,
however,
the
you
new
need to
moon,
actively be
and the
working
earth,
in
and they are
VinCard.
all in a straight
I've looked
line.
at your test
So
scores,
if that happens, you have
and
the
I know
gravity of the
you've
sun
seen your
plus
test
the gravity
scores,
of the
and
moon
you
pulling
need to
on
be
the water.
practicing and
This is
studying.
going to be a spring tide.
So
because the
actively
sun,
get
moon, and
involved
earth are
in what
a
you're
straight
doing.
line.
Don't just
So go
sit
ahead
there.
and write that on that
This will
line.
be an easy
Spring
test if you
tide,
make it an
because
easy
the sun,
test.
moon, and earth are all in a
But
straight line.
guys, that quiz is in line with the questions that you're going to see on your test. So if you didn't do very well on this quiz, you know you need to start working.
Now go ahead and color the water on the left side and color the water on the right side. Now the next question, you see the sun, you see the earth, and you see a full moon. They are all in a straight line. So once again, what you're going to write on this line is that spring tides, because the sun, moon, and earth are in a straight line. I'm going to give you a second to write that.
It is all allowed. I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
And color the water. And color the water. Okay, on this portion of the worksheet, you notice that both moons are in a different position. You are going to write out to the side, write neap tides, dash, first quarter and third quarter. Now you'll notice that the sun and the earth are in a straight line, but that third quarter moon is not. It is at a 90-degree angle. So what we're going to write in the blank is that this is neap tide because the sun, moon, and earth are at a right angle. Neap tides because the sun, moon, and earth are at a right angle. And now it's time to color the water. Notice there are no large bulges on the ocean for this. There would be more of a bulge than it shows in this diagram. The diagram exaggerates a little bit. There would be more of a bulge than that than you see, but there's a very small difference between high tide and low tide, and so that bulge kind of goes away. The bottom, you see the sun and the earth are lined up, but the first quarter moon is at a 90-degree angle. So once again, your answer is going to be neap tides because the sun, moon, and earth are at a right angle. And now let's color the water. That's what you need to know about tides. Remember once again that tides are caused by the gravitational pull of the moon on Earth's oceans. And when they line up, when the Earth, the sun, and the moon all line up in a straight line, you get that extra gravitational pull that creates spring tides. Spring tides are really dramatic differences between high tide and low tide. If the moon is at a right angle, then and during a first quarter or a third quarter, you're going to get more mellow tides with less depth of water between high tide and low tide. Thank you very much.